Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Oh, hey!
Mayor, make sure you got the mic on. Is it on?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for being here. I know some of you came to make sure I actually left City Hall. But in all seriousness, before I get started with my remarks, I'm gonna chop this up. We're supposed to do the keys of the city at the end, but I'm gonna start with 3 keys to the city because we have some department heads who are gonna be leaving us shortly. So I'm gonna start with them, and their keys to the city, I think, reflect not what the other keys of the city will be about, but for their years, really decades of service to the city of Antioch. And so for those who don't know, this is Dawn Merchant. She is our finance director for the city of Antioch. She's worked here 25 years. Wow. In our finance department. And you know, department heads, they're the people who do all the work behind the scenes, so they don't ask for recognition. They don't ask to be at the forefront of anything. And so I want to make sure that they got recognized. And I particularly appreciate Dawn for her years of service because she's been here and has seen everything. She has seen everything, including some of the city's worst moments during the economic downturn where they had to furlough people, cut positions, and get to the bare bones of operating this city. And that doesn't happen easily. It takes tough negotiations with our union representatives. It takes tough budget cuts and working with other department heads to ensure that the city survives. And that was a trying time for a lot of people. And so I wanted to recognize your years of service, Don, to the city. I know when I first got elected to the city council, I came to City Hall, and you come with all these ideas about what is actually happening. And so I remember having various meetings with Dawn, talking to her about the budget, and somehow I had come up with this idea. Someone put it in my head that the city held 2 books. One was the public side, and then one was a secret one that nobody knew about. And so what I learned when you do dumb things like that is that you make the hardworking people in City Hall miserable. And so I wanted to share with you, Don, that I've appreciated you over the years. I'm sorry that I started that way. Any advice to anybody, ask about the budget as you come in, but there are no 2 sets of books. Everything is pretty transparent, and the city does its best to ensure that your tax dollars are used in a way that are reflective of you and your values, and so I appreciate all of your hard work. We got through some tough times in the last 4 years related to how we had to move some money around, particularly as we faced the police crisis, and so I wanted to acknowledge those who were a part of that and worked hard with the city. So with that, I am going to, as one of my final acts, award the key to the city to Dawn Merchant, our 25-year veteran, for your invaluable service and unwavering commitment to the people of Antioch for the last 25 years and during the fallout of the FBI investigation and through your long-time career in the city of Antioch. Your long-term dedication, resilience, and leadership served as strength for the community and your colleagues as we navigated some tough waters. And so I want to thank you for your leadership, Don. Well, I thought they had your key somewhere here.
There's one standing up against the back wall, if you can see that one.
Oh, yes, but I think it's under. And here it is. Here we go. You gotta go. Kiki.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you want to say anything?
Send money.
I just want to thank the mayor for the recognition. You know, so oftentimes government workers are kind of lumped into, they don't do anything, don't see appreciation. And, you know, I've been here a long time. This was really kind of one of my first major career milestones was starting here. And I love it here, and I hope to retire from here. I love the city, and great things are happening. And You know, we've had great leadership. I appreciate all the guidance and being able to get Lamar into place on the budget, and so we've had some fun conversations. So I appreciate the recognition. So thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Alan Barton, who is our second longest serving department head, 24 years in the city of Antioch. And if you ever get a chance to talk to Alan on the side, you should. He has an interesting life story and an interesting entrepreneurial spirit that many don't know about as it relates to some early technology that I'm not going to mention, but if he shares with you, he'll tell you. But I was absolutely impressed when I learned that about you, and that type of talent works here in our city. And I also love him to death because he helped Kennedy, my daughter, with a project at Holy Rosary. And so she got an A. And so you are forever remembered in my household. And so, believe it or not, we had several crises here in this city. We had one related to technology and ransom. And so we were literally held hostage. And we had to navigate, Alan had to navigate us through, along with the city attorney, through that challenge. And that's dealing with people's personal information, data and whatnot, and everything that helps move this city forward. And so protecting your information has been crucial in that process. And I think we're at a point, remember when that last Microsoft update happened and a lot of organizations were struggling. We were not, because of Alan's foresight. He said, you know what we'll do? We'll just wait 2 weeks anytime there's a Microsoft update, and we'll see the impact of what happens. And because of that, we literally saved ourselves from some trouble. And so, but that came as a result of some other challenges that we had to go through. And so Alan has been with us. He quietly is in the basement of City Hall. And so I certainly appreciate all of your hard work throughout the years in getting folks stabilized during the last few years. So for your invaluable service and unwavering commitment to the people of Antioch for your last 24 years here in the city of Antioch and during the FBI investigation and through your long career here in the city, your long-term dedication, resilience, and leadership has served as strength for the community and your colleagues as we've navigated tough waters. And so you will also see the key to the city of Antioch.
Thank Lamar for this opportunity. And what he referred to as about in my many years ago, I worked for the software entertainment company. We did a video game quality tester, and so that's what he was referring to in the heyday of computer video games. So that was a great time of my life. Again, thank you very much, Lamar. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to hold off on you for just a second. Christina Garcia, coming up here. For those who do not know, we have an elected city clerk here in the city, but the real work falls on Christina Garcia. Yeah, I said it. I don't care what you say. And for years, Christina has worked here, and interestingly enough, she's always the soft voice of reason in the background, who recognizes her role, but also invokes her opinion, which I think is good. When I initiated when we were under stay-at-home orders and the vaccinations, I had to call the press conference, and me and the mayor of Walnut Creek said, we're going to mandate vaccination, and because it was in the interest of public health. And I get stopped in the elevator one day by Christina, and she says, Mr. Mayor, I really need you to reconsider this policy or think through something else that balances those who don't want to participate in the vaccination effort. And I said, but why? We need to get people vaccinated. Well, you have to consider people's religious backgrounds. You have to consider people's fears and anxieties. And so we came up with a policy, thanks to Christina, that it was either mandatory vaccination or that you got tested every 2 weeks for COVID. So that was the balanced approach that we came up with, thanks to that very thoughtful voice in the background. And so that is one of many, many examples of those leaders who lead from behind and still have an impact and influence. She does not like, by any stretch of the imagination, being in the spotlight. She is very uncomfortable right now. And so I informed all the department heads that they were going to be receiving the key to the city, as well as our friends from Animal Services for Barbara. But I did not share with Christina, because she would not come if I told her. She will also be receiving the key to the city for taking on the city clerk's office, your work here over the years. It does not go unnoticed. It does not go unnoticed. And I know that the leaders here in the city of Antioch, elected or the administrative leaders, appreciate all of your hard work and your dedication over the years. Christina will be retiring soon. And so we will miss her greatly. I will miss your guidance and stewardship greatly. And so for that, I will be awarding you the key to the city as well. All right, you want to say anything? Come on. I'll be right there.
So thank you for this. I appreciate you, all your support throughout the years. I appreciate everybody's support. We all worked hard over the years. We work together. We work for what's best for the city. I am not a speaker, and but I just wanted to thank everybody. I love your voice coming in to be heard, and I love that we all are able to work together and do what's best for the city of Antioch. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we're gonna go to Scott Bunting. He's another one of our more senior people, as he has been here 20 years, 2 decades. Huh? You missed 5 years. I missed 5 years? All right, human resources, you told me 20 years. All right, 25 years, my apologies for that. So you and Don have been here the longest. And so climate change is a real thing, whether you believe it or not. The ice caps are melting in Greenland. That is increasing salination here at the Delta. And so we are building a state-of-the-art desalination facility in our city. The first brackish water desalination plant on the Delta. Some of you know how important it was because the governor came down, did a press event here where we got to tour that with him, and it's part of California's overall portfolio as they build out a portfolio that focuses on water reliability and quality. And so that project has been on the shoulders of Scott Bunting, and in addition to that, he's the guy who's been responsible for our CIP, which is our community improvements, our capital improvements budget. So every infrastructure project that you see in the city, whether it's some company coming in to repave a road or asphalt or building whatever it may be, when it's a project run by the city, Scott Bunting has been responsible for delivering those projects for the taxpayers. In addition to that, he also stepped up to become our acting public works director as we were having changes in staffing, and so he stepped up to the plate and he's performed, I think, beautifully, and on top of also delivering our desalination plant. And so I want to thank you, Scott, for all of your hard work over the years, and under my time as mayor, I truly appreciate you for all that you've done for the city. And so for that, I will be giving you the key to the city as well for your invaluable service to the city of Antioch.
You might have to speak into the mic a little more because we're not getting a lot of great sound.
Thank you, Mayor. It is an honor. I have been very lucky to work for the city for 25 years. I grew up in the town of Antioch. It's been a blessing for me to be able to give back. I do hope to continue to do so. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
I think he wants you to turn it up a little. Or if you get on the mic, it might help.
I don't think it's the, because it usually picks up everything. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. All right, so before I get started with our remarks, I do want to acknowledge a few individuals who are here with us today. I see our supervisor, Federal Glover, who will be stepping down as from the Board of Supervisors. So thank you for your service and for being here today and your support over the years. And I see our incoming supervisor, Chanel Scales Presley. And I see the vice mayor of the city of Oakley, who is here, Shannon Shaw. And then I see the mayor of Oakley, Anissa Williams, who I believe is also here representing State Senator Steve Glazer. And in terms of elected officials, I just want to, and then Pat Young, who is from the Contra Costa Water Board, not the Contra Costa, Contra Costa Water District. I know her from somewhere else. I used to be executive director of the Los Medanos Community Healthcare District, which I hear some of you may have heard about. And she was the president. She was my boss. And she has stood with me since the day she became my boss. So I don't give a damn what a flyer says. I care about what she says and what she thinks of me. So thank you, Pat, for all of your work over the years. I want to acknowledge one of my former employees, two of my former employees from the healthcare district, Mrs. Shaw, who is here with us, and Mrs. Gardner. I could have seen Mrs. Gardner somewhere, but maybe I didn't.
She's here somewhere.
Nicole Gardner and Lucretia Shaw. So thank you all for your support. Oh!
No, ignore me
Like I did last time.
Yes.
All right. Not just kidding. It's interesting. I used to have an employee at the healthcare district who then went on to become my boss at the healthcare district. And so I'm gonna, ask you to stand up so the whole world can see you, since I ignored you.
Say something nice. Don't say what I am.
Is there any other elected official that I may have missed? Seeing none? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm shocked that so many people came. That's why I had it out here. I thought we won't fill up the but to my surprise, you're all here. Huh?
Our mayor.
Oh. Oh, I love you too. One of the things I've learned in, just in life is that the promise of tomorrow isn't guaranteed without a fight. It just isn't. And one of the reasons I wanted to acknowledge Barbara today is because, believe it or not, she was someone who, to me, embodies that the promise of tomorrow isn't guaranteed unless you fight for it. And so 8 years ago, I came to City Hall with a heart filled with gratitude, absolute gratitude. In 2016, after only having lived in Antioch for 4 years, the people chose me to represent them right here in this building. And after 4 years of that, I was promoted to serve as our government's head, as the mayor. So tomorrow, I leave in the same way that I started in 2016, with a heart filled with gratitude for the people of Antioch. Uh, and the unsung heroes of City Hall who make our city work, some of them that you met earlier, and those who fought for me to be right here in this place at this moment right now. 24 years ago, I swore an oath to serve and protect our nation as a member of the United States Navy. And I pledged to uphold the values of honor, courage, and commitment. Those values have guided my personal, professional, and political life. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination, as I am only a human being. And not God. For me, honor, courage, and commitment is understanding that the promise of tomorrow isn't without a fight. And I know this intimately. In 1981, I was born in Sybil Brand Institute, a women's jail in East Los Angeles, to a mother who used to use heroin while she was pregnant with me. Sybil Brand, the woman, Sybil Brand, was a well-known philanthropist in Los Angeles who served the Los Angeles County Public Welfare Commission in the 1950s. As a commissioner, she inspected public hospitals and jails. During her inspection, she was appalled by the inhumane conditions women endured while incarcerated. She fought tirelessly. This woman fought tirelessly for women's rights, leading a campaign to build a new, more humane women's facility that opened in 1963. And 18 years after that, I was born there. After 2 days at the LA County General Hospital, I was placed in the California foster care system. In 1902, Kitty Felton led the development of California's first foster home system to address high infant mortality rates in San Francisco. Felton went on to draft nearly all of the state's early legislation around children and welfare. Kitty's fight is why the foster care system gave me parents, Guillermo and Teresa Hernandez. And by the way, if Felton sounds familiar, it is because they are the institute that runs our community crisis response team here in the city of Antioch. In 5th grade, I was placed in special education because someone realized I couldn't read or write English. I couldn't even pronounce my last name because there is no TH sound in Spanish. However, in 1965, President Lyndon Johnson fought to launch the War on Poverty, which included addressing the negative impacts of poverty on education. That's how Title I funding came about. And kids like me got extra support in school, but more importantly, gained the foundation to later be able to finish teaching myself to read and write. In the Navy, I signed up for a program to receive certain benefits from the military after completing my enlisted, including the GI Bill and its educational benefits. It was a huge financial struggle, but thanks to the GI Bill, I was able to attend George Washington University, one of our country's most renowned institutions of higher education in Washington, D.C. This benefit exists because World War II military veterans fought the federal government for their bonuses after the federal government backed away from their promise to support veterans. 10,000 veterans, 10,000 World War I veterans ascended into the U.S. Capitol and demanded their bonus. Unfortunately, the federal government's response was ugly and made matters worse. And some people actually lost their lives. But it did help usher in Franklin Delano Roosevelt as president. Through the New Deal, FDR reformed the Veterans Bonus Program into the GI Bill of today. Honor, courage, and commitment is how I showed up as the mayor every single day. Who I am has never been determined by what office I hold. Don't ever get that confused. Who I am has never been determined by what office I hold. Who I am honors the legacy of those who fought for the promise of tomorrow. Who dared to stand up when it was unpopular to do so. And the commitment to see through the promise of tomorrow. The promise of tomorrow is about economic justice, creating ladders of opportunity into the middle class, and it's about ensuring working families who do everything right and find it harder and harder to get by, get their fair shake in life. The pain of some of the people I have met throughout my time as mayor will live in my heart for the rest of my life. That will live in my heart for the rest of my life. But has helped guide our agenda right here behind these doors. And if you don't believe me, I have all the receipts right here. In our first year, we advanced the city's first and probably only strongest police reform package in the city's history, where we equipped our police officers with body cameras for the first time and one of the last cities to do so in California. We mandated independent investigations of police complaints. We established the city's first independent police oversight commission, launched the city's first 24/7 non-police mental health response team to address lower level 911 calls so that our police department can focus on serious crimes. We banned the use of police techniques that can cause positional asphyxiation, including the famous knee and neck technique that killed George Floyd, and here in the city of Antioch, Angelo Quinto. But my most favorite and most important, and we're seeing it in play right now, was our early measure to stop the hiring of police officers who were under investigation from other departments. As a result of that measure, most of our new police hires are directly from the academy, learning new ideas, new ways of policing, which is important and reflective of this entire room. And that rule applies from patrol officer all the way on up to chief.
All right, all right.
We took on homelessness, which is an issue that continues to cripple not only the Bay Area, not only the state, but the entire nation. There wasn't a single mayor that I didn't meet in the last year from across this country who was not challenged by the issues of homelessness in their community. But we reformed our systems internally to deal with these challenges in different ways. We are the only city of all the 19 cities in Contra Costa County that provides direct services to our unhoused brothers and sisters on the street. We provide a hotel that provides bridge housing and the wraparound services to ensure that we're stabilizing individuals and making sure that they can find a better life with the services that we offer. This is baby opportunity. Let me take this little baby right here. All right, look that way, baby opportunity.
Amari.
But I'm going to call her baby opportunity.
There you go.
So Amari, I call her baby opportunity. And, you know, this stuff isn't a joke. And I know people like playing politics with all the measures that we passed and use them as weapons and, oh, they're doing this and, oh, doing that. Her mother was addicted to fentanyl on our streets. Her mother got to go to Opportunity Village.
Yes, Lord. All right.
And then this little miracle, this little opportunity gets a chance to stand up here with the mayor and talk about the good things that we did here in the city. This was about transforming people's lives. Transforming people's lives. So we invested $2.3 million in cleaning up dangerous encampments. We invested $4 million to build 122 supportive housing units, including wraparound services. That's in addition to the executive end. The executive end, we now used it to then leverage $6.8 million that we recently got from the state to open another hotel.
Yes. Right.
Another hotel. But it's not just about taking people off the streets and putting them into housing. It's about making sure people stay in housing.
Yes.
And that's why that is why rent control was so important. That is why anti-harassment Anti-tenant harassment policy was so important. And that's why just cause for eviction was important. To keep people housed. But in addition to reforming our police department, I know she's going to bed. In addition to reforming our police department, it wasn't without ensuring that we had police officers on our streets. And so we approved a historic $56 million budget in fiscal year 24-25 and authorized the hiring of 115 officers. We invested over $1 million for new shot spotter technology to aid our police officers in reducing gun violence and new drone technology to aid officers in sideshow activity. We authorized $50,000 in new license plate readers and cameras to identify and recover stolen vehicles. Signed a new law to hold organizers, promoters, and spectators of large-scale sideshows accountable with higher fines and jail time. We allocated $450K to refurbish the city's emergency operations center, which is decades overdue, and that's at our police department facility. We hired private security for downtown parking lots to ensure you have a safe experience in downtown and to enjoy some of the new restaurants. We invested over $1 million in new police communications technology to ensure interagency communication and support. We fought, well, I know I fought, for an incentive program to hire new police officers, which has resulted in the hiring of close to 40 new police officers in our community because of the horrible fallout of the FBI investigation of the Antioch Police Department. I also partnered with State Senator Steve Glazer to receive CHP support as the city dealt with the decreased staffing levels due to federal indictments. We fought for $10 million to create the new Office of Public Safety and Community Resources, which was charged with reducing gun violence and increasing youth intervention program like the mayor's apprenticeship program. We can't continue to exploit our police department in ways that are not fair for them. Police officers are not teachers, they're not mental health experts. They're none of those things. They're here to enforce the law and hold people accountable. And so the new Office of Public Safety and Community Resources is complementary to our police department to ensure that communities that have been historically under-resourced receive the resources that they need in order to build community capacity. You want to talk? Build community capacity. You know, I have a 15-year-old. I can't put my 15-year-old up here anymore. Else that would be a news piece. So it has been an honor to serve as your mayor, an honor to, the accomplishments that I listed are not everything. I want to tell you that in my first year as the mayor, in my first year on the city council voted 335 times. When I became the mayor, boy, I put that council to work. 525 votes we took our first year. And I have to tell you, those votes, 92% of the time, were unanimous, contrary to the nonsense on the social media blogs and next door. So it has been a great honor to serve, but I also don't want to leave without acknowledging that, I'm sorry, it's not normal for the FBI to show up to City Hall to tell you about what's happening in your police department. That's a gross negligence of leadership and an embarrassment. And so, while I didn't plan for things to be that way, I didn't want that to happen, I have to tell you, the last 3 years, as it relates to the FBI investigation, that was probably the hardest thing that I personally had to deal with. And I just have to remind people that in the midst of all that, and the reason some of these folks are getting the key to the city is because it was it impacted everybody. There's a lady who's not here today. Her name is Susan Vasquez. She's our principal executive assistant for the city manager's office. They had to take my name off the website. They had to take my email off the website, my phone number, and she took in all the threats.
Mm. Yes.
She took on all the threats
Yes.
and would call me and say, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Simply because somebody thought that this was all made up.
Yeah.
And I really want you all to understand the impact of that investigation. And I'm sorry, when I walked out of those doors, it's not over.
Right.
We're still under 2 investigations by the federal government,
Yes.
1 investigation by the state's attorney general's office, and then one investigation by the state DOG. It is bad.
Yes, it is.
But I don't want anyone to ever think that that's normal and that we should just accept that as normal, because it is not. And we all, as a community, have a responsibility to ensure that that never happens again. It can't happen again, whether you agree with me politically or not. It just cannot happen again. And that means accountability. And that means we all have to hold ourselves accountable, whether it's the 5 elected members of the city council, the city manager's office, the departments, the chief of police. Everybody has to be held accountable.
Yes.
And so, with that, I'm going to start with some keys to the city to some of our other department heads. And I'd first like to start with Chief Brian Addington, Acting Chief Brian Addington. So Chief Addington, interim Chief Addington, is the retired chief of police for the city of Pittsburgh. And all right, send them back. And I can't emphasize this enough. He does not have to be here.
Right.
He does not have to be here.
Right.
He could be on a beach somewhere in Hawaii. He does not have to be here.
Right.
But he saw it fit to join us and help us navigate one of the worst aspects of the FBI investigation, dealing with the racist text messaging scandal. And we needed people to hold folks accountable and not be swayed one way or the other, be fair in the process. And he got us through that effort. And so for that, Chief, I know that this was a monumental task. And I honestly greatly appreciate you for stepping up and helping your sister city on this side of the region with this effort, because it was not easy, but thank you.
Yeah, when I retired, I think there were 3 things I committed not to do: wear a tie, go to another city council meeting, or speak publicly.
Oh, you failed.
I failed, yes, sir. Over the course of the past 10 months, which have probably been the longest 10 months of my life, I have really grown to love the people of Antioch and the men and women that work for the city of Antioch as well. I do want to thank you, Mayor, for your trust and your support in allowing me to run the police department. I couldn't be receiving the key to the city without the support of all the other people who are receiving it with me. I am very humbled to be receiving this with all the other department heads who have been here much longer than I have. And I probably do speak for all of them that when I say that we really do stand on the shoulders of those that work for us. I know for me in the police department, there still are some outstanding men and women at the Antioch Police Department that are going out there every single day working to keep this community safe, and we have more officers coming. And that's just not the police department. The men and women that work for the city of Antioch really do love this community, and they want to make things better every single day for each one of you. And so I've been very fortunate to see that
every single day. I think my wife would probably rather be on the beach in Hawaii, but she's been very supportive of me. So I humbly accept this key. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Thomas Smith, our city attorney, and Anna Cortez. Ándale, Ana. So, I think, so when it comes to, back to the FBI investigation. And I do, you know what, let me, because I don't want people to think otherwise, but we do have some outstanding men and women who work at our police department.
Yes, we do.
And when I've given speeches about the issue, I've always made it a point to acknowledge those who have served with honor and respect to the people of Antioch. And those are some of the folks who are still at our police department, who endured it all and still decided to stick around. So I appreciate those individuals. The city attorney's office has been a one-man operation for years. And there's a lot of work that we're doing here in the city that has expanded the city attorney's office. All of our housing policies impact the city attorney's office. Building a new department is not an easy task, but it impacts the city attorney's office. Everything that we do funnels through in some fashion through the city attorney's office. So imagine when the FBI investigation falls on your lap, along with other litigation that we were dealing with, like the litigation related to Angela Quinto. It inundated the city attorney's office, and they're still not finished. There's still much more to do, and as a matter of fact, tomorrow we'll have a pretty significant action that we'll have to take that is also part of the city attorney's office. So the city attorney, human resources, and the chief of police, the city manager, have worked tirelessly to help get us through the investigation, but there's still much more to do. So I wanted to acknowledge Attorney Thomas Smith for his hard work in enduring the crisis, and for your invaluable service and unwavering commitment to the people of Antioch during the challenging fallout of the FBI investigation. Your dedication, resilience, and leadership helped ensure accountability for those who violated the public's trust. We honor your efforts and dedication in this time of great adversity. To City Attorney Smith. Now, human resources, why it's related is because part of these are personnel matters, and so they go through legal, but they also go through HR. But in addition to that, we lost all those officers. And so that means stop everything that you're doing, because we have to hire officers, whether we like it or not, because that has to be the top priority to ensure public safety, because we could literally see the downward trend and the crisis that was coming. That's why it wasn't after the racist text messaging scandal that I announced the bonus package. It was right when the FBI got here, because we knew it was going to have an impact, not only with officers we lost, but officers who said, you know what, I don't even want to deal with this, I'm leaving. And so I know that it was a lot of work for Ms. Cortez's office to handle, and she took it on. It all happened right when you became the new department head. So this was a gift we gave her. And but you've mastered it, and you've gotten us through successfully. We have 40 new officers, more are coming. In addition to that, we have new staff that we're bringing on board for other departments and other areas. And so I couldn't be more thrilled for the both of you in your hard work and working in partnership, not only with me but with the chief of police and the city manager. So here is your key, and here's your key. Let's do one time.
All right, thank you, Mayor. And as you mentioned, I did become the Human Resources Director in, I think, the hardest time. However, I've been with the city for 18 years, and I will say I love the city. I have asked, a lot of people have asked me, why are you still there? I will say, because I have a lot of family, I have a lot of friends that live here in the community, and every day that I come in, I know it's challenging, but I love it. And I want to thank the mayor for this. This place truly is a great place for opportunity. I started here as a office assistant, and I had my HR degree, worked my way up, and here I am today as the HR director. So, thank you.
So, what's on my mind right now is something very personal. My father passed away last year, and I was thinking, wow, I wish he could have been here to see this. He was a public school teacher for 33 years. And my grandmother was a public school teacher for 40 years. My sister was a public school math teacher and then a principal. And I felt in a lot of ways he was always disappointed that I didn't follow the family line of being an educator all the way through. But I wanted to let him know that even though I was an attorney, I was doing something in serving the public good. I also mentioned my brother's a Marine, so we've got a pretty strong tradition of public service in our family. And I could tell that when I initially became an attorney and I was a venture capital attorney, he was sort of looking at me and thinking, what are you doing, son? But I think he would have been proud today. And I'm proud to serve the city of Antioch. I really feel like, as the first attorney in my family, my skills have been well used, and I look forward to contributing in the years ahead. And I'm very proud to serve this city. So, thank you for the key to the city. I appreciate it. And that's all I can say. Thanks.
Okay. Brad Helfenberger. And Kwame Reed, but he's not here. All right, so Brad was hired as our Parks and Recreation Director, and so I think you've been here 3 years. Almost four. You've seen a lot in 4 years. And so Brad came as our Parks and Recreation Director, and I think one of the most insulting things about that ridiculous grand jury report is the fact that it ignored the new services and how we were overperforming in different areas. One of the areas that we're overperforming in is in Parks and Recreation. We're overperforming in our water park, in that now on the weekends we have to stop people from coming in because of all the outreach effort and the work that that Brad and his department have been doing to engage folks. We're overperforming in our events. If you went to our tree lighting ceremony, this is all Parks and Recreation. We've started new cultural events in this city. We're kind of mandates that came down from the top. We have our Dia de los Muertos event that was put on by the city now. And then we now have an annual Juneteenth event. And so some of them are in collaboration with community groups, and then some of them are independent that our staff puts together. In addition to doing all of that, Brad stepped up during the crisis to serve as our acting assistant city manager. And so we know that it was not an easy thing to just leave a high-performing department and then come try to oversee all of these different departments in our city. But Brad stepped up to do so. And so when we, and it wasn't just a one-person operation, it was, and they came in during I think as Anna described, kind of during the worst of it. And there are people who would have probably shied away from that because they would have thought, oh, this can be a career killer and let me not be bothered. But I acknowledge and recognize that stepping forward takes a lot of courage. Because when you step in these leadership positions, there's nothing you can do right. But I know that you did a lot of right, and so for that I'm appreciative, and so for your invaluable service and unwavering commitment to the people of Antioch during the challenging fallout of the FBI investigation, your dedication, resilience, and leadership served as hope and strength for the community, and we honor your efforts and sacrifice in this time of great adversity. Mr. Hulkenberger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is truly a great honor, really a highlight of my career. As you mentioned, I started here almost 4 years ago. I actually started less than 2 months after you took office as mayor. And so when I think about my time here, I think about it on a parallel with your administration. And it's been quite a journey. When I started here, everything was shut down for COVID. And so I came to a community that in the beginning was really difficult to get to know because everything was shut down. The joke that I told everybody, I came to a community center and there was no community. So in my early months here, I was tasked with reopening our facilities and at the same time evaluating, and it actually gave a really good opportunity to reevaluate a lot of the programs that we were offering. Were they the best fit for this community, a community that was rapidly changing? And in that, we greatly expanded programming. We've had the opportunity to reassess the senior center. We've completely revamped the senior center, which is one of my proudest accomplishments here. It's a wonderful, vibrant place to go now. The events offerings, for many years the city didn't offer any events, and so we've greatly expanded that in my time here. And a lot of that, as the mayor said, was a mandate from up top, and in a lot of that we were not given a whole lot of time to deliver on the requests that were made, but I want to take an opportunity to thank all of my staff, because none of that could have happened without the wonderful people who work for me in Parks and Recreation. I have 11 full-time staff members, and depending on the time of year, anywhere from 100 to 300 part-time staff. And these are the lifeguards that you see at the water park. These are the people you see helping you at facilities. And really, they are the face of this community. They're the face of the department, and we would be nothing without them. So I want to thank my staff. And then, as the mayor stated, I had the opportunity to help serve in the city manager's office, and that wasn't something that I had sought, particularly as a relative newcomer compared to some of my colleagues. So I was honored with the opportunity to be able to step up and fill that role, and it was driven by a desire to serve the community. That's where my passion lies, and so I saw it as just another way that I could serve my community. And so I just want to say that I love working for the city of Antioch. I hope to work here for many more years, and I'm very grateful to be part of this wonderful community. And I'd like to thank all of you for welcoming me into it. So thank you.
All right, Tasha Johnson, the Public Safety and Community Resources Director. She's not here. She's in Seattle for a conference with Kwame Reed related to some of these things that we're actually talking about. But we do have a special guest from the Johnson family. Her husband is here to accept this key to the city on her behalf. Now, this one is really, really special to me because Tasha Johnson actually used to work with me when I was vice president of the Greater Sacramento Urban League in Sacramento. And she was our youth developer. She worked with our youth up in Sacramento. We were tasked with one of the most important tasks in Sacramento County. There is a collaborative effort through all county agencies, whether it's probation, the Department of Human Resources, and so on, and nonprofits, to reduce the amount of black child deaths in Sacramento County. Some of them will have to do with homicides, some of them have to do with perinatal condition and a host of other things. And she focused on the youth aspect of it. And so when we started the youth engagement effort here in the city of Antioch, we wanted to develop new youth programs. I called Tasha and I said, can you lead this workshop for us? Because I'm trying to get policymakers and the community engaged in this process. And Ron Burnell was there as the city manager. She did her facilitation, and she said, and Ron Burnell's remarks were, Lamar, I've never seen anybody like her engage our community the way she did. And so he brought her on as our youth services coordinator, our youth services network manager, and then eventually she became the new department head for the Department of Public Safety and Community Resources. Everything that is everything in the last 4 years sits in this department. Housing sits in here. The hotel, our homeless efforts, our outreach efforts around homelessness sits in this department. The Angelo Quinto Community Response Team sits in this department. Environmental stewardship sits in this department, and a host of other things. Youth programming sits in this department. So she's like the department head of everything else. But she's delivered in a way that, my God, the timing couldn't have been better. Because as we lost all those officers, we were literally launching the new community response team, which then alleviated the police department from responding to lower level 911 calls. They still responded, but they took a chunk of that away from them. So if we hadn't had that, imagine how much worse it would have been in terms of response times had we not had this group out there working 24/7, working with calls, whether it's homelessness, people suffering from mental health issues. We even respond to domestic disputes if they haven't become violent. And so you name it, we send them, and we try to diffuse situations as much as possible to ensure that it doesn't escalate to a different level. And so Tasha Johnson has been instrumental in building all these new programs, but more importantly, having gotten some of the right programs off the ground during the police crisis. And so, for your invaluable service and unwavering commitment to the people of Antioch during the challenging fallout of the FBI investigation, your dedicated leadership helped improve Antioch with the launch of the new Department of Public Safety and Community Resources, and we honor your efforts and commitments. Take your picture so you can show them. You gotta say something on behalf of your wife, or else she'll talk about you and me.
I'd just like to say, right, to Mayor Thorpe and the city of Antioch, we really appreciate this recognition, and Tasha will be very happy.
All right, Kevin Scudero. Yay! He's my favorite because he didn't see any of this coming. None of it. So Kevin Scudero has been at our I'm getting old, people. Oh, you've been here 20 years. Wow. So Kevin has been 20 years here working in our community development office as a planner, and I think our most senior planner, right? And so he's basically responsible for everything that has to do with new developments, new projects, our planning commission and the approvals that they make, and a host of other things. But Kevin's boss, our former community development director, stepped up to be the acting city manager. And so then that meant someone had to take over community development. And so the first conversation I had with Forrest Ebbs, we went to grab lunch out here at La Pazuela. He says, Mr. Mayor, I'm not trying to be the city manager, maybe assistant city manager, but not city manager. And so that's where my pursuits are. And I said, no, not a problem. So when he informed me that he was going to leave to go to Modesto to be the assistant city manager, we were not surprised. But I had also, when he became the acting city manager, I said, well, who do you trust in that office? And he said, Kevin Scudero. He trusted all the officers, all of his employees. But he specifically talked about Kevin. And so in that process, unbeknownst to you, he had to then step up to be the department head and has been leading the department ever since. And during kind of this fallout, and so I want to thank you for stepping up and taking the leadership role when it was maybe not the funnest experience, but we appreciate you for all of your hard work, efforts, and dedication to the city of Antioch. And so for that, you get the key to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for this honor. I deeply appreciate it. I was born and raised in the city of Antioch, and I am proud to serve this community every day. I started here 20 years ago as a part-time temporary employee, and then eventually found myself as the acting director of this department. I am humbled to receive this key, and I definitely share it with my staff who work hard every day to serve this community. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I don't need it. So the next key to the city goes to one of our outstanding residents, and that's Barbara Sobovaro. She passed away a few weeks ago, and so she's received this posthumous. She's the second person to receive it posthumous. But I wanted to honor her because she really, truly, as I sit and think about it, whether people agree or it's not for you to disagree or agree, she really has been a trailblazer in our city. The reason we have an animal services department is partly because of people like her. People who got up and said, we're going to challenge the status quo and we're going to change things in Antioch. And what we want to see is our own animal services department. We don't want to rely on the county for whatever reason that happened back in those days. I don't know. But Antioch decided, and through the vote of the people, decided to go in that direction. So we are the only of the 19 cities who has their own animal services department. And if I recall, this happened in 1978. 1978. When that department was created, Barbara founded Antioch Friends of Animal Services, many of whom are here today. And so, it really serves, I can get into the history of why they created it, but I can tell you from my experience, from when I first got elected to the city council, of what it serves. In Leslie, it almost serves as an oversight because they held us accountable. They would come to the meetings and say, you have problems in animal services and you need to fix them. And they would come, show up, organize, advocate for change. And we've made some pretty significant changes at animal services, from adding veterinary doctors to techs and a host of other things. And then I believe we've made some infrastructure improvements as well. So there's a lot more to do. That doesn't mean that your advocacy stops, anytime soon. It's continuous and it's ongoing. And the reason I referenced Barbara in the beginning is because the last years have been about creating transformational change. Transformational change where you build new systems. This is so, in 1978, that was called social innovation. Creating new processes to deal with problems that you may be facing at that time. And that's what we did in the last 4 years. Created new solutions, new systems to deal with challenges that we have historically been dealing with that we haven't been able to grapple with. Whether it's Sycamore Square, whether it's homelessness, whether it's the new crisis with mental health, people have shown up to say we have to try something different to deal with these problems because what has been happening is not working. And Barbara embodies all of that. Every single ounce of transformational change. And that's why it is with great honor that I present the key to the city to Barbara for being the founder of Antioch Friends of Animal Services, for your invaluable service and commitment to ensuring dignity and respect to the animals and pets of Antioch. And I believe all of her friends from Animal Services are here, so come join me up here. Chuck, are you the speaker? What are you doing? Okay.
President.
Don't worry, it's not long. It's just in big writing because I can't see. On behalf of Barbara, Antioch Friends of Animal Services Board of Directors is honored to receive the key to the city of Antioch. Thank you, Mayor Hernandez Thorpe, for recognizing this amazing woman who dedicated the last 4.5 decades of her life to the city, the animals, the staff and volunteers at Antioch Animal Services, and to the people of this community. Barbara helped draft Measure A, in which the citizens of Antioch voted overwhelmingly in favor of maintaining a local animal services program right here in the city of Antioch. She was also one of the founding members and president of Friends of Animal Services that was formed in 1979 for the express purpose of guaranteeing the people of Antioch a humane and comprehensive animal services program with an emphasis on a quality animal shelter and maximum responsible adoption of animals to help decrease the number of unnecessary euthanasia. Friends, a 501c3 community benefit corporation, did this, and we continue to do this through fundraising efforts that are exclusive to our city animal services program to assist with adoption sponsorships, specialized medical treatment, supplies, food, sponsorships, spay and neuter awareness, along with community promotion and outreach. I am not aware of any other organization who assists one of our city services exclusively or in the monetary amounts that Friends has over the past 4.5 decades here in Antioch. Barbara was a force to be reckoned with and a staunch advocate over the decades to ensure the city budget was conducive to maintaining and to expand animal services. She only has stopped appearing so frequently this past year due to her health limitations. Barbara was also an accomplished and gifted lifelong pianist and teacher of piano who taught so many in our community. I don't ever recall seeing a sheet of music in front of her, nor was there a song that she could not play. It all came to her naturally. She just flowed. Her fingers just flowed on those keys. And you would hear her playing to much delight throughout the community over the decades. Barbara made a promise to never abandon the animals, and she did so until her unexpected passing in early November, with one of her last gifts to a precious dog named Nemo. Nemo was found abandoned and huddled in a bush on a very hot day with an injured, deformed paw and injured jaw. These extreme medical conditions are not the type that our animal services budget can accommodate, nor would an adopter generally consider due to the extent of the injuries and the cost that is required to fix this. And so normally it would require humane euthanasia due to untreatable medical reasons, which is an acceptable thing that happens with shelter animals. Friends paid for the extensive amputation in Nemo's bad leg. His bad teeth were pulled and repairs were done to his jaw. And Nemo was the perfect patient, and upon his swift recovery, he was quickly adopted by a wonderful couple who treasures him and is now living his best life in the foothills. And right now, as I speak, we have a little puppy named Neptune who was hit by a car. And Officer Cottle reached out to us and asked if we could pay for, he has to have, his break is so bad and his hip is injured, so he'll have to have an amputation too. But yes, he's there getting that done, and he'll get adopted to a wonderful home. Barbara would say, and I quote, "Seldom does a heart feel better than when you save the life of one of our animal friends." Thank you, Barbara, for all the precious and deserving lives that you saved over the past 45 years. You may have departed, but your heart and your dedication remains here within all of us and the staff and the volunteers at our local animal shelter. Though we wish you'd been awarded this key in person, God knows you so deserved it and so much more. It is with great honor, gratitude, and determination that the Board of Directors of Antioch Friends of Animal Services accept this key on your behalf. We will fulfill your promise by continuing your legacy and never forgetting all that you have done first and foremost for the animals, the animal shelter, the staff and the volunteers at the shelter, even though sometimes it could be a little dicey between them, but it all worked out, the city of Antioch, and the community that you so cherished. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for being a friend to all of us, and thank you so much, Lamar. Really, truly, for acknowledging Barbara. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Well, come on, let's take our photo out. All right, well, I was going to wrap things up, but I see someone has called my attention. Yes, ma'am. Denisha Marsh is ready to eat, so we better be quick about this.
All right, so Lamar mentioned his relationship with Senator Glazer, and while he couldn't be here today, we did want to present him with a resolution on behalf of the senator to thank him for his efforts and work towards helping Antioch out. And, you know, we thank you for your service in the last 4 years. So I'm not going to do all the whereas. I spent some money on you.
Well, I have to tell you, I've received many things as the mayor that weren't so pleasant, but this one, I have to tell you, really nice. Okay.
And goodbye.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say bye, but I just wanted to reiterate that economic justice, upward mobility into the middle class, finding ladders of opportunity for working people, working poor people, is a cause that lives in my heart for the rest of my life. Will always be a cause for me. I hope it's a cause for all of you, because there will be a time that I will be calling on all of you to stand up for what's right. As we continue to fight for a more just world, a local economy that works for everybody. You know, I've always been involved in politics. Being an elected official doesn't determine whether or not I'm going to have a voice. I will always have a voice. And so with that, I am filled with gratitude and appreciation for all of you for being here today and for supporting me throughout the last 4 years, whether you voted for me or not, for giving me your insights, giving me your feedback. I truly appreciate you, and I'm filled with joy today because we only put out so many chairs. I said no one's coming, but I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody.